Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Facebook and YouTube. Kristen Ryder here on this 1st of October, Rabbit, one day out of an eclipse day. And I am so grateful to be here with my beautiful, stunning guest, soul sister that I love. Devon Duerr, angel intuitive extraordinaire goddess.
Oh, hi, Kristen. Hi, everybody. We have been waiting a long time for this, haven't we?
Yes, I think since July, right? We said
July, we
July.
started talking about it. Yeah. We
Yeah,
didn't book
yeah.
it till August, but
Which we reminded ourselves working on the tech yesterday, which is just hilarious. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Um, y'all, I'm so excited to bring Devon to your awareness. Before I do that, I have some announcements just to get them out of the way because I have no doubt this connection is going to be bringing us through the echelons of ascension and angelic connection like neither of us have really experienced before because we've never done I'm so excited. Okay, y'all. I'm fine in the hurricane. Everything's fucking fine. I've got water. I've got my apocalypse pantry. I've got connection. I've got cell. I have tech. I've always had power. I'm grounded to the grid of Gaia, and this is coming in really hot. My last platonic sound program was so powerful, y'all. And now I have a gong in my sound healing collection. So I'm getting yelled at through the hurricane, like, you still have to do your platonic sound program. I'm like, I have no water or stuff, guys. And they're like, you still have to do it. So with the grid work that I do, which is, I'm sure, why my entire apartment complex has been protected. Thank you for reminding me of that, Devon and Robbie Hunt. I do have many vortexes here and stargates opened. But this platonic sound program is very advanced organic technology that we use our consciousness, breath work, sound, intention, connection to Gaia to activate these elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And so this is the beginning of this technology and program. But what we're doing is coming up with an energetic prescription of frequency that is activated for you to use however you choose, whether it's putting more water for collagen in your knees if you have arthritis, connecting more to Gaia, connecting more to Mother, Father, God. It is very advanced work. You do not have to have done it before, and you can book it a la carte if one element is speaking to you more than the other. Like, say you're an earth sign, you're like, I'll try earth. We're activating earth this weekend. So there's that platonic sound program. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me on that. I don't want to take any more of Devon's goddess time. I'm so excited, Devon. It's coming in hot. And I also have tech. So, y'all want to help me through this hurricane? Book an astrology reading, book your own sound healing. Go to my website, book it up. Let's glow. Okay, now, the fun part. I did it. Aren't I getting better at marketing myself?
You sound amazing. I love it.
I
Yes,
love you.
definitely sign up. I know
And
from being in person with Kristen how amazing your teachings and your sound is, and listening to your sound drop every day on Serious Joy. Oh my gosh, love it.
yes, I have my sound drops on Serious Joy. I'm navigating how to do something a little more unique on my own, but I don't know what that tech looks like, and we're doing the best we can.
Right. Great.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
So, obvious you brought up Devon, you and I, 2022 came together, our forces united in the Serious Joy community, and that is how you and I began our wonderful friendship,
Yeah.
sisterhood, relatedness, getting to know each other, keeping a community together and running while other things were not available at the time. And I am just My heart is so grateful. And it's funny, I don't remember where in life we've met each other, like what timeline we've met each other. Like, I don't even know if it's Earth timeline.
Right.
No, in the work that we've done together for Serious Joy, our parallels have been so magically aligned, and I so treasure your gifts and your
Oh,
wisdom and your intuition and your beauty and your sisterhood, and I just love you to pieces.
I love you
So,
too.
for anybody, oh, my Cancer sister. Oh, there she are. I'm a progressive Cancer. I get it, sister. I get
Yes,
it.
yes.
But I am so honored to have you here on
It's my honor.
who did I sing the show yet?
Oh, no, you didn't sing.
Do you wanna sing with me?
I don't know the song, but I can try.
You don't know the Who's Who Are You? This is what
No.
you really?
Okay, you sing it, I'll try.
I love you. Okay, welcome to episode 15 of Who Are You? Who, who, da-na-na-na-na-na,
I
who
can do
are
that.
you? She can dance. Da-na-na-na.
Okay, that's the song. I hear you now. I wasn't warmed up. My pipes.
I'm not warmed up either, girl. I'm
I
exhausted.
know, but you don't sound like you're warmed up. You just belt it out in the middle of meetings, and we're like, "Dang, where'd that come from?"
Well, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best.
It
Hi,
sounds
Carol.
like you're warmed up.
Hi, Erica. Hi, Mitzi. Melissa
Hey,
is my sister,
everybody.
Mitzi. Devon Duerr in the
Yeah.
house. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Mary Kate.
Oh,
Hi,
we got lots
Wijana.
of
Wijana.
faces.
Wijana. Oh my God. Anne Marie's here. Hi, Anne Marie. Anne Marie's my guest next Monday. Welcome to my show, Devon. I just throw it out there however it comes in. She's going to be on a Monday at 3 p.m.
Yes.
Okay, Devon, tell us who you are.
Well, I am here as a light worker to activate other light workers and help them show their spiritual gifts to the earth. But that's come in a lot of different forms throughout my life. It's, probably one of the most common readings I get or questions I get in readings is what's my life purpose? And the angels are always like, you have a lot of life purposes. And we activate them at different times. So my current title is I am an angel communicator and spiritual teacher. And I work with others to connect with the angels. I share angel messages, and it's absolutely my honor. I love it every day. But actually didn't start off in this field. So, like I said, I had other purposes that I needed to do on the way. So,
And I completely understand that journey. Even when I was younger and performing and doing national European tours, really European tours, I would get off the bus and I would set foot down, and I was 19 and I would get a past life activated, like, oh, I've lived here. Oh, why is it so familiar? Or, oh, and that's the journey and the experience that I think becomes, well, I feel, in my opinion, becomes the activation point of that remembrance, and
yeah.
almost like a soul retrieval or remembrance, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Is Was that your experience in the evolution of you?
Definitely, growing up from a very young age, I always felt my angels with me. I was lucky I had a grandmother that encouraged it too. She would buy me the little guardian angel pins, or when I'd be like, Grandma, you never believe what happened, this to this. And, well, that was their angels, or that was your angels. And, so I was guided in that way. And I also had a huge bond with animals from the get-go. Horses, dogs, cats. We even had a deer growing up because we live out in a rural area, and we raised her on the bottle because she didn't have a mama, and she went to the school bus stop with me every day and picked me up for
Oh
so
my God, that's so cute. What an amazing way to grow up.
oh
Oh
she
my
it was we have a picture of her eating out grapes out of our refrigerator. So she was part of the family for sure. But yeah, it was a little bit like I was constantly being inundated with this spiritual energy. So the telepathy was off the chart. And I know you hear this from all light workers once they step into their power. They didn't know that not everybody heard those things or felt those things or saw those things, right? All of us here listening, I'm sure, were like, yeah, we thought we were the only one. And, I was born here in Texas in a rural community where you just don't talk about things like clairvoyance or
Ew, ew.
spirit
Right.
guides or psychic
Keep
abilities. Like, do not say
talking.
psychic.
I'm not leaving. I'm closing my window. Helicopters are insane today. Please keep talking about your magic because I can still hear it, and I love you.
Oh, I will. And yesterday we had a helicopter go over during our practice live and it cut Kristen off the camera. We thought that was interesting. But yeah, so growing up, I think it was a normal thing for me. Then when I was 19 years old, just after the summer, just after my sophomore year in college, I actually saw angels standing around my bed. And it was one of the most magnificent experiences. It's so hard to describe, but even now when I talk about it, I can feel it. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
so
I'm
amazing.
just like, and amazing, flowing different colors, like iridescent and a lot of white and just glowy warm.
And there was singing, what I now would say was each octave of the chakras, because I was able to use hindsight, to realize that they were giving me an energetic boost when they
Mhm.
were there. But at the time, I just was like, "That was amazing. What was that? What was that? What" I wasn't scared, but I was like, That happened. That happened." And actually, it was my grandmother that I was able to go talk to about it. I had forgotten this. I went to my mom first. I was like, I cannot stop thinking about what happened to me the other day. And my dad had kind of a similar experience in college. So we had talked about, like, he said he had had something where like a divine light came to him. It was more like a beam. And I was like, oh, well, so I felt safe telling my parents, but I wasn't going to tell any of my friends at college. I was in this like Bible Belt school. Like I wasn't going to say anything, but I did tell my parents, and my mom said, "Go talk to grandma. Don't you remember when grandma saw her guardian angel?" And her experience was quite different, but she had made a deal with her mom that she would come back and tell her everything was good when she passed away. They made a deal. And so I made a deal with grandma that she would make sure and come tell me, which is what she did many years later after I graduated college with my accounting degree, business administration, very left brained, nothing to do with
Wow.
spirituality. I did small business consulting for about 16 years, and grandma came to me in a dream and telepathically told me, get to work. So, yeah, that was a full cycle there of me being like, okay. And I mean, there are many things that happened between me seeing the angels at 19 and at 36 when I finally put aside my small business consulting and started working on being an intuitive full time. But I wasn't giving them the credit they deserved until that point, if that makes sense. Because I think a lot of us do that too, right? We have these premonitions, we have these psychic visions. I saw things happening, like I'd be staring at the rainbow that a sprinkler makes when the sun is coming through it, and I'd have a vision.
Yeah.
And then that vision would come to pass in like 3 to 6 months, right? And I was like, oh, that was my angels, just like, okay. And it wasn't even something that I would like need to, it didn't feel like something I could make happen either. That's the other thing. Is it would happen when it happened, right? And
Right.
so it didn't even occur to me to be something that could help somebody, or I just was going
Right, be
along.
of service because we're not taught that because you've got to go to college and get the degree and get programmed and indoctrinated into the system of the false matrix that's falling apart right now,
Yes,
in a
absolutely.
nutshell. But
Yeah.
I find it fascinating that, my I mean, when I was a little girl, I was always out whistling to birds and singing to nature, barefoot, out of the house, like having my own adventures. And, obviously connecting to nature is such an activating thing. But the past life things, I was 19 when I was on my first European tour. So that's
Wow.
when I was getting activated with that stuff, and I would
Yeah.
always go to the churches first thing because the churches in Europe are so beautiful, which I now know are all built on ley lines of the planet.
Right. Right.
So fascinating what we
And
know
you were
now.
drawn there magnetically.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to say something earlier about you and I meeting like in this lifetime, when we started working together at Serious Joy. But when we really, the four of us, you, Heather Exposito, Robbie Hunt, and I really sat down together, the four of us, the four elements, I had a pure vision of standing outside some kind of trough of water, looking down at my feet wearing sandals. And we were standing around this water doing something that was a ceremony, and it was pure download, pure vibration. And I was like, oh, okay. So we agreed to come here to do this at this time. Here we go.
And that's so fascinating because when you say water, like, I see plasma and, like, a portal, like
Ooh,
it's a
yeah.
I see a portal. Was it a big body of water or a small?
It was more, it reminded me more of like a big fountain you would see in like a courtyard.
Okay.
But we were looking down into it, like we were looking at something. Like there was something in there we were looking at. So very likely could have just been my brain trying to translate what I was looking at. I've noticed that happens a lot too.
It's so funny to get the messages and the visuals and then feel it in our bodies, right? To, like, get the frequency of
Oh,
that
and it's
information.
undeniable. Yeah.
It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. And you're so dead on in all of your readings. And you and I have had the pleasure of trading readings for our children.
Mhm.
And they're
Yes, that's
still
so helpful.
so like, okay, here we are, accurate, spot on, spot on. Now
Yeah.
you've written a book. Is that
Well, I have an ebook that I give away for free when if people want to sign up for my newsletter to help them get started. But it's actually a journal that has kind of like a mini book in the front that teaches my method for learning how to create your own book of evidence. And I call it Book of Evidence, Proof Your Angels Are With You. And it has custom templates. And the reason I created this is because I used to teach journaling workshops in person a lot before everything. And people would say, can't you just do this for me? So I would teach people how to do the method, and then I would give them a blank journal. And they would get about as far as we got in the class and maybe a day or two, and they'd be like, I don't have time, or I need help again, or I forgot what you said. So I had to go through the evolution of learning how to bring in my teaching skills and break things down. And so essentially what I did with this is I've broken it down into steps that I've found really help when you're trying to understand the way you communicate with your spiritual team, with your angels, and then of course that evidence. Because, like I said, Kristen, I things would happen to me, and if I didn't have anyone to talk to, I'd begin to feel like maybe it didn't happen. I question it, or my mind would try to dismiss it. But then I'd get proof, so I'd have to go back. Like one of the ones was I had a premonition dream about 9/11 in June, September 2001. I had a
wow?
very lucid premonition dream. And then I didn't know for at least another 10 years that people all over the world had premonition dreams, because that's how dense that energy is. That's how much intention behind that was. And that was a huge push to me as well to start. That was before my grandma told me to get to work, but it was when I started really giving my dreams way more credit than I had been prior to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've always had a very active dream life myself. I used to keep a journal, and now I'm just like, okay, what do you need? It's
Yeah.
it's funny how it evolves, and then I go way to my spiritual side, but then I'd book another gig, or then I'd be like teaching kids yoga, and then I get another gig.
Right.
It's so funny, but the gig would give me more information and tools and learning and lessons that I could then elevate my teaching, my intuitive skills, and working with I worked on Disney Cruise Line. I'm not so proud of that now, knowing what I know now.
Mm.
But, working with younger kids, like
Yeah.
teaching them what I've learned in my spiritual journey and helping them like shift their lives and integrate more spirituality and intuitiveness in their practices. That's interesting. Just Erica just text. This is was something I also wanted to ask you about. I'm getting an activation in my right ear right now.
Ooh. Hi,
It's
Erica.
it's yeah, so Erica is saying, "I had my 9/11 dream the night before." Oh, yeah. So as I'm looking down at you saying that, but like the whole right side, and I'm getting a ringing, but it's a
Ooh.
kind of ringing. It was more, I'm literally getting activated right now, Devon, but uh, it's a it was a different tone. I've not heard a tone like that in my right
Oh.
ear, and it felt more hollowed out, more whole versus, like, laser-like. Does that make
Oh.
sense?
Was it like interference or you think it was, um do you feel like it was interference for what you're uh-oh, you're frozen. Oh, how
Oh, that's
interesting.
interesting. Am I
That is
frozen?
right when I said interference.
Okay, well, we're never
Um,
gonna say that again. Well, it was definitely a pause, stop, and then it went a warm "woo," which I always take as activations because 'cause I'm
oh, yeah,
such an
that feels good. Yeah, that
yeah.
would be a good
I'm
yeah.
always such an activating kind of energy, and you and I together, here
Yeah.
we are. Oh my god, it's amazing. But it's interesting that the interference comes in with the subject line we were starting to go into because
Yes.
that was an inside job. If you don't understand that that was an inside job by our own government, then you need to do some research because we are in these times that are quite apocalyptic. And I want to go in. Do you know the difference between apocalypse and Armageddon?
No, tell me.
So Armageddon is like the doomsday. Like, oh, the nuclear bombs. We know what's going on in Israel. We know our ports are getting closed. Like, that's more
Okay,
Armageddon
Armageddon.
timeline,
Okay,
right?
okay.
But apocalypse is more of the veils getting revealed,
Got
right?
it.
The curtain, the wizard behind the curtain. We're seeing the truth of what it is, using our two eyes to see the awakening process. That is
Yes.
what apocalyptic is, which is
Okay.
why I'm prepared for what I'm experiencing after this hurricane because I stopped watching the propaganda on the television, started
Right,
educating myself in alternative medias back in 2020, which is why I personally didn't fall for this. And it's okay if you did. I'm just letting you know the effects of all of that are starting to get revealed in our environment. I'm coming
right.
off a hurricane here. Now,
Yeah,
this is where you and I have shared over the years our experience at a very interesting place that I am 15 minutes away from. And I'm fascinated that when I talked about Disney Cruise Line, this is where it got me the Biltmore, which is located 15 minutes down. And it was flooding. Biltmore Village was flooding prior to the hurricane even getting here, which is interesting.
oh, okay.
Um,
Mhm.
but what I noticed when I was going there, because I had the year membership, whatever, I was going, taking my son for an adventure. But when we would go through this arched stone bridge, right on the road, would drive through, y'all drive through, and I'd be like,
Mhm.
that's weird. I feel like I just passed a threshold or a gateway, not a positive gateway, but like I'm in a different reality, kind of like when you go through the
Mm.
turnstile at Disney
Yes,
or
yes.
Washington, D.C., or something in London, or something in, is it Rome? It's the third one. I'm drawing
Hmm.
a blank on that. But there's different portals you go through where it's like, oh, this is a different contained energy of its own.
Mhm. Mhm.
Or own city of its own with its own rules. Talking
Right.
a lot of code here, but I noticed that when I would take my son there. Now, you and I have exchanged some stories, and you had an experience when you came and visited the Biltmore. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, it was actually a trip through. We purposely went to Asheville. The only opportunity I had to be there. It was beautiful. We were driving home from my younger sister's graduation, and we saw it as an opportunity to go in there. And yeah, we walked into the house, and I definitely felt a shift. Now, that's normal when I go to any kind of historical place. I think any of us that do this work, we feel it. We're feeling the energy, we're feeling the crowds, we're feeling the history. But so I was already feeling that part. But when we went down to where the swimming pool used to be, they had an indoor, right? Was it at the basement, or there's a swimming pool in the basement? Or
Well,
was
there are many levels to the
Okay.
Biltmore, but that is one. The pool is on, if I'm remembering correctly, because I learned some information and I will never set foot in that place again. But it's the base level, and then it's a subway tile pool that goes down.
Yes, that
Yeah,
that. So
it's the
we walked in that room and started to walk towards the edge, and instantly I was transported to I was in the water. It was in some kind early 1900s. I could smell the water. There was uh, talking and like the echo that you hear when there's a lot of water and splashing in a room like that. And it was like I was there, living there, or I was a guest there in the pool. And it was so real that I stepped back, kind of like whoa, and I felt I could still smell it like for a few minutes afterwards.
wow.
And it wasn't the smell that I smelled when I walked into the room either, because of course you're going to smell a different smell when you walk into a room like that. This was more like showing me it was either some other soul's memory that I was picking up on, or it was some kind of connection I had. But it was so interesting. The emotion too. The emotion was kind of scared, kind of restricted, kind of sad. It was I would probably say depressing. Like this is it. This is what life is. Very trapped feeling. So
Yeah.
I don't know but at that point I hadn't fully understood a lot of the way my abilities worked. But
Mm.
that whole area has so much history. We stayed at an inn in Virginia on the way home that I saw a bunch of ghosts in my room, things like that. So this was after seeing the angels, like things were getting activated, and it was so much at once. It was like drinking from a fire hose. What was your experience there?
Yeah, I mean, I love historical things like that because of my tours in Europe. I have had the opportunity of going to, I mean, I've been to Nuremberg, Germany. I've been to Oslo. I've been to a lot of places that got hit a lot by world wars. In Salzburg, Austria, I was like, okay, I used to live here. And I'm like, of course, Julie Andrews, whom I've actually gotten to meet in this lifetime. Um, but when I first went, I know, right? When
I
I
love
first went to the Biltmore, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I had that feeling when I went through, but I had never gotten a tour to go through the house until my little sister visited. Um, and she was all excited to go in, and we got the tickets. I got listening to the thing. And I had Dylan with me, my son, who was a lot smaller. He was 2.5 at that time. And we start going through, and it's a lot of people, a lot of energy, a lot of information. And I was like, okay, guys, I'm not getting the walkie talkie with Dylan. I'm just going to have to ride this out. Um, but I couldn't. Dylan was a disaster. And you know how intuitive and open children still are at
Oh,
that
yeah.
time, and my
Mhm.
son is a master Scorpio.
Yep.
So I couldn't really have my own experience that time because, I saw gargoyles on the top. Gargoyles are not a sign of being on the light side, everybody. Like everybody thinks, "Oh, it wards things off." No, it doesn't. Oh, my sisters are in the chat.
Break
There's
things off.
Natalie. He's like, I enjoyed that day. I was like, well, I didn't. My child was screaming and I had to get through the lines because he was not having it. Not
Uh,
having it. it at all. And then this a year later, my second sister was in town wanting to go to the thing. It was totally flooded. It was flooded back then, and that was 5
Mm,
years ago.
mm,
So I
wow.
think Missy and my niece Carolee got protected, um,
Mhm.
because it's not a good place. And the things that happened, Erica, in that pool room, there are, art pieces of some very nefarious things that happened with children in that room. That's where I'll put that in the most eloquent way. We need to wake up, everybody. Shift is real.
Yeah,
Um, but I find it fascinating, to bring it up to current times. I can't not talk about the hurricane, but
right.
you've been getting some information about this. And I had asked yesterday if the angels had anything, because first of all, weather can be manipulated through direct energy weapons and harp. Like, that's just how it happens. And what I'm working in my platonic sound program is using our consciousness and Saturn and Pisces to assist Gaia in the organic assistance of using the weather to our benefit. With Uranus and Taurus, who knows, right? With
Right.
Uranus and Taurus, who knows? But
Right.
working on teaching people that we have that power. But, my mom was in Florida tracking it. I was checking on her, but our dear Robbie Hunt down in Atlanta, she said that storm took the strangest turn in Atlanta, and it just shifted like a sharp turn. It shifted in Atlanta, and then it started coming up towards Asheville, and it took a 90-degree shift around Asheville, a bit more south of me, and started going left and going towards the west, which is what brought Asheville this insane, and they're calling it biblical damage hurricane. Now, this is not to put fear into everyone. I'm working on us bringing our intuitions together, because this is a powerful connection to support
Mhm.
people for preparedness in these times, because this is not an accident, is what
Mm.
I'm saying. And then
Well,
you and I, go ahead.
and Robbie Hunt, if you don't know, she is a huge weather enthusiast. She
She
has been
chose.
tracking the weather for years. So for Robbie to say that,
Yeah.
and for her to know the astrology, listen up. Sorry, go ahead. Because I mean, I learn stuff from Robbie about the weather all the time. I'm like, that's a what a that's
I
a
learn
what
that from
a
Robbie every 3 sentences.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. It's not just about weather, it's about everything.
yeah.
But yeah, what were you gonna say that
Well,
oh
and then, it came to my awareness that, there are huge, pockets in the mountains here of lithium.
oh, right.
Um,
Yes.
that information is available on X. And, this is what happens when certain resources of Earth have been battled over. I mean, look at what we're witnessing with Israel and everything when we have all of our resources here. But I just find it very curious timing.
Yes.
So, with all of those in the mix and all the things that we kind of just outed, which is a lot, do the angels have anything to say for us for support and preparedness?
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna have to ask for you to remind me the 4 main types, but you're a grid worker. And
Yeah.
what are the other 3 main types? I know there's, like, the channelers, and then there's the do you know what I'm talking about? The 4 main bodies of light workers. Can you list those? Because 'Cause I'm
Okay.
blanking. Get back to
Well,
my
see, that's the thing. I'm like, I didn't know there were only 4, because I'm getting
Well, there may
activated.
be more, but they were showing me 4, so
Okay, well, I'm definitely a grid worker working with the organic grid of Gaia and the
Mhm,
core of her. That's gotten activated into Stargate work,
mhm.
humbling. But there are channelers, way showers, I mean, psychics,
Are
hu-
messengers their own category? I'm trying to remember if messengers are Or are they part of the
Messengers,
channel?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I put channelers and messengers in the same thing, and you and I are messengers as well. Don't shoot
Right.
us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's more than one, but there's like certain things that I feel like were put in certain locations. Like I 100% feel you were put in the location you were in so that you could shield a lot of the good stuff that is there in Asheville and a lot of the good energy. And, one of the things that they were showing me, the reason they wanted to talk to me about that is that, yes, just like in any battle, there are going to be things that happen that feel like a loss. They feel in on a day-to-day basis like you're losing the battle or you're taking 20 steps backward, but it's all for a greater gain. It really is. And yeah, a lot of it is about the resources of the earth. When I scanned the energy of those pictures on X about the lithium under there, I was shown by the angels how valuable that is for eternal knowledge, actually. So there's not,
Wow.
yes, we have the people that want it to mine and make physical dollars off of, but it's also there for very ancient spiritual wisdom that really needs to be protected. um,
Absolutely.
so you had made the comment yesterday, Kristen, about maybe this flooding is also, while it's got the negative side, it's also flooding out a lot of the things that needed to get unstuck to reveal this. And that's what they were affirming, that you said that yes, this is going to bring more to the surface of what's really been going on behind the scenes. And, we're all so much more aware than we were 4 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, to the things that we're seeing on the media first versus what's the truth. And
Mhm.
we're also able to connect the dots even using the stuff on the media. As you said, it's like you can sit there and watch the weather forecast if you know what Robbie knows and knows that's unnatural. That is not natural. And if you look at the astrology of it, I was listening to Robert Phoenix's show this morning. He does the astro weather every morning on his channel. He's been talking for a long time about this grand water trend that was coming this weekend and about the threat of the hurricane. And he saw it all in the chart. He saw the whole thing. It's like he saw the grand water trend. He saw the flooding. He saw the need to for people to get supplies and protect themselves. And then he even brought up these port shutdowns last week. How apparently I don't have all the information, so go watch it if you want to hear what he had to say. But it was something about how the last time this happened, it was right around an eclipse as well, in like 72 or 74, somewhere around
And
there.
it was in October sometime,
October sometime.
right?
And yeah. And so it's really interesting that, we think these are things that are just coming to a fruition or just coming to a head, but actually this has been going on for a very, very long time. But the affirming side of that the angels were bringing in is, Kristen, you were telling me yesterday about climbing the pool fence to get water for your elderly neighbors. I mean, this is what we're being reminded of as well. The angels are saying it's like, people know in their heart you're supposed to be helping each other. We're not supposed to be doing this on our own. We're not supposed to be doing this in a material way that steps on other people. And so when everything goes out the wayside, the electricity, the water, the cell phones, the everything, you're stuck with nothing but each other. That we're coming together is so hard to undo. And that's the
Yeah.
backlash that they don't see with the
Yes.
things they're doing. They don't
Yes.
realize the power that all of you in the Asheville community and everybody around you that are bringing you resources are creating. It's unstoppable.
It is so
I'm getting
unstoppable, and that's I'm so head to toe. Are you angel
buzzy.
bumps all over? I'm like, "Oh, yes. Fire!"
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing of, what they think is gonna be traumatic and crush the unstoppable ascension process with their shenanigans, this fall or whatever. Like, it's just going to bring us closer together in that unity consciousness as more of that apocalyptic energy keeps pulling people out of their slumber so that they can, open their hearts. Like, are you okay? Because there's been some neighbors, like, we just don't talk so much, but I have been noticing a shift in that in the last 6 months without a trauma or tragedy or chaos.
Right. Right. Yes, and so it's not that we have to endure these things over and over, or that, oh, this is now going to start happening everywhere. It's just that we have to observe it so that it's one more thing that we're aware of, and we have that free will to participate in it whichever way we're going to. And when we choose to participate in the way you have, Kristen, more applause to you, setting such a great example, then it's easier to handle it, to face it, knowing that it's part of our mission, you
It
know?
is. It's part of
Mhm.
the 144,000 star seeds, light workers, channelers, gatekeeper, all of us. Angel, what are you now?
Angel communicator.
Angel
What am I now?
communicator. Wait,
I don't really have a title.
wait.
I'm just
I
like,
had
this
about
is
5
talking about
angel names for you in my head. I was like
angel names. I guess I have changed it several times, but to me, it's always like, well, I work with the angels, but I do these other things because that's really how you work with the angels. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
because the
I don't
more
want to take too much
you
credit.
no, the more, in my opinion, the more we say yes to that work and participating, then
Mhm.
the pineal gland gets activated, the cave of Brahma in our brains. That's our whole intuitive center, which therefore charges up all of our hormones. Then that starts to turn on dormant DNA. That's big work that I work with, in
Mhm.
the sound
Mhm.
healing and the sound activation so that we can grow into all that Mother, Father, God, universe intended for us to be, and which is what all these solar flares, plasma energy is coming into the field, awakening in all of us. And a lot of it gets activated, sometimes through tragedy. Humans can, we could be a little stubborn sometimes. Not me ever. It's that, 2 by 4, spiritual universal 2 by 4 that Robbie also refers to, that is the like, hey, what are you doing? The apocalypse is here. You better go get some water, some rice, some beans, and be prepared.
Mhm.
'Cause that's
Yeah,
been a huge part of why I've still been able to show up for our show in
I
people
know.
now, because I didn't have that stress.
Right.
And then
Right.
we can help others. Like, that's the mission, right?
Absolutely. Yes. That is another great way to look at it too. Cause I know I hear a lot of people just so heartbroken over things that they're seeing across the world or in your state that they can't do anything about. And they walk around so sad about it and so depressed. And it's just the world is just the worst it's ever been. And it's like, that's actually not how we help each other. And it's a state of mind, it's a state of being, it's a state of shining your light. And I know everybody here watching this knows that, but it's so hard to talk to people. What do we call them at Serious Joy? The muggles that don't want to
Yeah.
participate in they don't want to participate in their divine purpose because of whatever reason, fear, vulnerability. But
Or
so they stay.
lack of doing the work. Like, it's
Mhm.
okay and natural, because I've had many moments of grief through this,
Yeah,
seeing the trees and stuff. But you're so right. Like, you're right on. Like, but they don't know how to do the emotional work.
right,
This grief, this trauma, or this sadness, it's here for you to pay attention to it and feel it, so that
right,
you can move and shift the energy of it
right.
versus
And
staying there.
right, and also reveal the nature of humans, the human ability to actually overcome, to actually, with time, this shall heal, those kinds of things, just the strength that we actually really have as humans.
Yeah.
We forget until we go through something like this and we look back on it and we're like, wow. Because I mean, you're going to look back at this video a year from now, Kristen, and be like, I was on air.
Oh,
Like,
exactly. Well, and thank you again so much for your time yesterday
oh,
and
yeah,
seeing if this would work, because I've been so excited of us coming together.
me too.
Um, but this is also, hearing from people that survived Katrina, they apparently Christopher told me, Mr. Zion, that he was talking to people that were in that, and they have like plaques of on their new buildings that they rebuilt, where the flood lines were. Everybody's got a plaque in their restaurant now, and it's like, oh no, they said to him, it's like, no, your town is now before and after, after
Mhm.
Hurricane Helene.
Yeah.
Or Helen, he swears it's French. But this is also what I find fascinating, because I always feel like I'm a little advanced in doing things a little ahead of time, little bit of Aries in my chart. But I'm like, because we're building 5D, right? Like we're building, like, a lot of us healers. There's so many healers and light workers and
Mhm.
Reiki practitioners, so many light workers here in this area, and we've been called to this area for this time, for
Absolutely.
this reason, right? So it's activating all of us with that frequency, and everybody's coming together. Like, the shift that's gone on in not just my community, but what I'm hearing in other neighborhoods and stuff, it's like, oh no, I was ready for this, and let me help my whole block,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
it's just like, okay. And people still offering their services to help the nervous system for the trauma.
Oh,
But
yeah.
knowing, like, I feel like this is the other perk of this. I feel like the storm, like, the intention of it, hilarious. Lithium's been activated. I work with the grid of the quartz in the
Yes.
mountains. I feel like this is like, whoosh,
Yeah.
that was the 3D. Here comes the 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy, right?
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Well, and that's such a good point to bring up too, because I feel like some of you out there listening or watching this later may be thinking, well, I'm all alone in my community. I'm the only light worker.
Mhm.
Well, I've been there. You're not. And you are there for a reason.
Yeah.
You have to come out of the spiritual closet. Now, I don't have to come running out of the spiritual
You
closet, but
can come on you can come on my show or one of Devon's shows, because
exactly,
those 2 places.
because I'm sorry? Yes,
You
yeah, yeah, I'm actually gonna I used to do a show called Devon's Chat on my YouTube channel where I would interview light workers, and I'm hoping to bring that back very soon. I'm still getting organized with
I
my
get it.
YouTube channel, but it is a goal of mine because I love interviewing other light workers and how they got here. But I was gonna say that I used to always say to myself, "Why did I incarnate in Texas?" And I would think about it a lot because my mom was born in Pennsylvania on the East Coast, and my dad was born in San Francisco on the West Coast. Well, if
Oh,
you
wow.
follow a lot of the history, right, we have the Atlanteans on the East Coast and we have the Lemurians on the West Coast. And now they got married, came to San Antonio, and had me. So it's almost like, oh, I chose to incarnate here to bring those energies together in this middle point here. But how do you tell someone that who's trying to get started on their light worker ability and everybody's looking at them sideways like, what happened to her? So she used to do our bookkeeping and our tax returns, and now she's talking to animals and angels. And so,
Well, but I think that is, in my opinion, and I would love to get your insight on this. I think a lot of us grew up with that isolated feeling in order, because if it's easy, we don't
that's such
find out,
a
like, what we're really made of, so I think that's why we did all choose, and it is a choice. We all chose to
right.
come in and experience that isolation, not to be traumatized, but to learn how to overcome the trauma, heal, and still activate our superpowers.
Right. Right, and that's really actually just such a boost, like those old video games, Super Mario Brothers, where you would get the mushroom and you grow. I
Yeah,
mean, to be able to go
finding
through
mushrooms
that.
can help you grow. Oh my God. My girl Paige is in the house. Hi, Carol. Hi, Jennifer. We got so many. Hi, Krista. Oh my gosh. Hi, Mary. Hi, Kathy. Everybody's in the house. Oh
Love
my
it.
gosh. But I think that's why we did it that way. And I
Mhm.
love, uh, I mean, girl, I'm sorry. You picked Atlanteans and Lemurians. my son made some really potent choices. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
Oh my god, and it's so right, and it's like, how do all those energies, like, remain in this I like to call it a popsicle suit, meat suit. I'm taking that from Rion. Um, another soul brother from another galaxy, probably. So I love that you brought up that you're going to be doing now. You're on YouTube. You're on like you have blown up. You've blown up.
Oh,
So
I don't know about that, but I
well,
still have a ways to
you're
go.
totally blown up. You're crushing it. It's like you're a Capricorn rising or something.
Or something.
One of because you've come out of the closet,
Mhm.
the last year substantially. Now, can you share what your journey or any tidbits that might be supportive for someone that's apprehensive or
Sure.
just on their start myself? That would, I feel like that would,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you would mind.
I'll tell you the things that helped me the most. First of all, I know there's a lot of amazing people here from Serious Joy and Unite the Light, so this may be a repeat story for you. But I was first kicked out of the spiritual closet by Instagram. Um, it Instagram outed me to all my friends. I didn't know how the algorithm worked back then, and so I created a secret profile under my business name, Build Intention, and I posted these static posts with no picture of me. And it would be just like an angel message. And then it would be something about animal communication or a Carl Jung quote, and I'd get a couple of likes and I'd be like, yes. And and I would post like once a month. This is this is how we all started, right? And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call from a friend of mine that she's like, I was at that Super Bowl party the other night that you didn't make it to. Everybody was there, and they were talking about you, Devon. I was like, what were they talking about? And she was like, well, people just have questions about what you're doing. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, they saw your Instagram. Well, apparently that's when Instagram was like, hey, your friend Devon started a new page. Go check her out.
Oh my
Because it
God.
was in the context of all my phones. So all these people that had no idea I was doing all this spiritual work, I was outed out anyways. And you know what? It was the best lesson ever. It was like, oh gosh, like, yeah, I really have been trying to hide. Like, look how badly I was hiding that even my closest friends didn't, some of my closest friends, but there were certain friends that it was just like, I'm not going to talk to them about this right now. They're not into it. They're too busy. So I would definitely say that, you can start safely connecting to your audience online. Please don't be scared of that. This is a tool that was given to us by the divine, believe it or not. I know everybody's scared of AI, but the only way for your audience to find you, which you all have an audience, is to get out there in that way. So that would be the first thing. That's kind of obvious, but creating a routine with that is good. The other really great thing I did was not only did I go to workshops and classes where I could connect with other light workers in the area and we could trade business cards and start referring clients to each other, but I also did get a table at our local, it's called the San Antonio Healing Arts Festival,
Oh,
but in other places it's called like a metaphysical fair, or like what I'm talking about, where you have the tables, and I would offer free readings in exchange for their email. And I would do a drawing from the email to give a reading too. And so I started building not only a base of people who I already knew were interested in what I did,
right.
but I was getting this real time practice with total strangers doing this. So to me, yes, it was the investment in the table to sit and do it, but talk about jumping in the deep end. And then there are also communities online that you can do a lot of exchanges for. So especially when I first started doing angel readings, I met with other angel readers and we would just swap. So definitely do
Yeah.
a lot of swapping. And then people,
Trading.
because what else happens? Everybody gets busy. You
Yeah.
don't think it right now, but everybody gets busy, and so you have to refer. Like, I used to do animal communication sessions. I don't have time for that anymore, but I have like 4 or 5 go-to animal communicators. When somebody says to me, "Hey, can you do this?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. I know this is urgent. You need help right now, go contact this person. And that's what ends up happening. So, I would say probably 90% of the clients I got in the first 2 years came from one good client who really believed in me, and it was word of mouth. So if the social media stuff stresses you out, at least have a storefront where people can find you. But I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
also focus on the community.
yeah, and that was something that you and I were talking about in the green room, and I'm pitching myself here too, folks. Go to Devon's website, subscribe to her newsletter. Like, we're kind of going back to what, the 90s of building a business. Like, give me your email. I'm going to do a newsletter, just
It's
in case, this
Well,
is
that's a
preparing.
that's a great tip there too, because you never know what platforms are going to go away or
Right.
what they're going to decide not to allow, or so yeah, it really, I know it sounds crazy, but it's still like, get the email, or get the ad. In the olden days, where it was like the address.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
right.
Go get
I'm
the
gonna
address.
write I'm
But
gonna write you my oh god, notebook paper newsletter. And
yes.
then you had to, like, read people's handwriting, but I would always get more information about someone's personality in their handwriting. I
Yes.
miss that art form.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
something that was
It's
nice
becoming a
over
lost
the
art. Mhm.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that is another thing to just keep in mind is, you could always just start offering free readings in exchange for people's emails, and being part, or coming to their, just send an email out once a month, just letting everybody know what you're doing. Hey, I'm going to be over here at this yoga class, or I'm going to be over here at this, spiritual workshop. And it's not as hard as it seems, because I just get that question so much, that people feel like they're all alone, especially if you're in a rural area, but they're there. I mean, and I literally asked the angels, like, can you please send me loud and clear signs about who in my area that I actually know would be open to this? And it turned out it was a close friend of mine who referred me to that good client that referred me to everybody. Yeah.
It's so great. And, it is word of mouth. And I have so many dear goddess friends that have been at work and done it word of mouth. It's all word of mouth, because I have one friend that just couldn't do the social stuff anymore. And she's
Mhm.
like, it is all word of mouth. So communicate, 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 get yourselves out into your community. Trust me, what I'm going through right now, the more people you know in your immediate environment, the better off we're all going to be. And what I loved is the visual I got when you said you started getting too busy to do those trade offs with the people you originally connected to.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, it triggered the circle of you, me, and Heather, around that thing with the light and the portal in the middle. But that is your light work also, is branching it out to other. And that's how the ley lines of the planet work. It's all interconnected. And the isolation is a test. The aloneness is a test, because we're
Yes.
never alone,
Yeah. I
ever.
agree.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I know, I know. I know. Oh my God. Do you have any we're coming up on an hour here, and I am just so, so grateful for you. And
Oh, I am right back at you, sister. I am so honored to know you, to work with you. I'm going to get all choked up now.
I know.
But I am so honored. And, the minute you said you were starting to book guests, I'm like, me, I
Oh,
want to be,
I
I'm
was like,
so excited. um, yeah. And I'm so honored to know you and work with you. And, you have a beautiful audience in the chat here as well. And I'm sure that it will be watching later. And I just feel this just beautiful golden light in my heart connecting with all of you. So it's really my honor. It's my honor. Thank you for having me.
thank you so very much. And friends, okay, we've got Devon's link in the whatchamacallit. And go subscribe to my YouTube and to Devon's YouTube. Oh God, did I forget to hit? No, I did it right. This is Devon's YouTube. Go subscribe to her channel. Go subscribe to mine. Please subscribe to our newsletters so we can keep this angelic connectivity going as we ride out this fall.
Yeah.
Oh God, we're just gonna. I'll just sit here and tell you I love you for like the next
I
15.
know.
But
I
don't
love
go
you
away. I
too.
want to chat with you behind the screen or behind the scenes or behind the, what is it called? The green room, whatever.
Okay, the green room.
Apocalypse is here. Let's go.
There's a
Oh,
helicopter swirling my house right now. I was like, "Are they watching us again?"
I told you, like they've been crazy over here. And I'm like, oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
you can't stop us because
Yeah.
my energy doesn't die. So there we go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time and being with my beautiful guest that I just love beyond all things. And until the next time, for who are you? I'll be seeing you in the unseen field. Loving you all so much.